Mistakes in Peppa Pig you never noticed. 1. Peppa's family lives on a gravity-defying hill. First, let's talk about Peppa Pig's house, because something isn't right. Have you seen that hill? It's a full-on mountain, perched so high that if Daddy Pig tripped, he'd be tumbling for a solid 3 business days before hitting the bottom. Yet somehow, Peppa and her family just casually walk up and down like it's nothing. No struggle, no slipping, no dramatic rolling sequence where George ends up in another country. They move like gravity doesn't apply to them. And their car? Yeah, it parks on that steep incline as if it's glued to the ground. Realistically, it should have rolled away seasons ago. Now let's talk about their neighbors. Nobody else seems to have this extreme real estate situation. Mr. Zebra, Madame Gazelle, even the rabbits in their underground mansion, flat land. But the pig family? They're out here living like they're preparing for a flood of biblical proportions. Maybe Grandpa Pig knows something we don't. At this point, I'm convinced Peppa's family doesn't walk, they levitate, or they have mountain goat DNA. Either way, physics in Peppa's world, non-existent. 2. Daddy Pig's ever-changing career. Alright, someone needs to sit Daddy Pig down and ask him, "Bro, what is your actual job?" Because at this point, I'm convinced even he doesn't know. One episode, he's an architect, casually flexing blueprints like he designed the entire Peppa Pig universe. Next thing you know, he's working on maps, talking about contour lines like he's some cartography genius. Then, out of nowhere, he's an expert in construction, supervising a house build like he's been doing it for years. Excuse me, sir, but where is your LinkedIn? Because I have questions. And let's not forget, this is the same Daddy Pig who gets lost in his own town and has zero sense of direction whenever they go on a trip. So how is he the guy making maps? If I saw Daddy Pig handing out blueprints, I'd be looking for the nearest emergency exit. At this point, we have 2 options. Daddy Pig is secretly the most overqualified genius in the animal kingdom, or the writers keep throwing him into random jobs because even they forgot what he actually does. Either way, I'm starting to think Miss Rabbit might not be the only one juggling a suspicious number of careers. 3. Miss Rabbit does everything. Miss Rabbit is a one-woman workforce. This lady is everywhere. She's a bus driver, a cashier, a helicopter pilot, a firefighter, a train conductor, a nurse, an ice cream seller, and I'm pretty sure if you looked hard enough, you'd see her running a space program on the side. At this point, there are only 2 logical explanations. Miss Rabbit has clones. There is no way one rabbit is pulling off this many jobs in a single day unless she has mastered human cloning and is keeping it a secret. The town is in a full-blown labor crisis. Like, is anyone else applying for jobs? Where is the competition? The economy must be in shambles because nobody is even questioning why one rabbit is responsible for public transport, emergency services, and retail. And let's talk about her stamina. This woman never sleeps, complains, or even looks tired. She's either running on pure adrenaline or some highly questionable energy drinks. I mean, even in Miss Rabbit's day off, when she finally takes a break, the entire town basically collapses without her. Honestly, if Miss Rabbit ever quits, Peppa's entire world is going to crumble immediately. 4. Muddy puddles that appear out of nowhere. These mystical, reality-defying muddy puddles just appear whenever Peppa wants to jump in them. The sun is shining, the ground is dry, there hasn't been a single drop of rain, and yet boom, fresh, glistening muddy puddles out of nowhere. Where are they coming from? Of course, there are theories. The town has a serious underground water leak. Maybe the pipes are busted, and instead of fixing them, the residents just let water seep up through the cracks so Peppa can have her fun. Or Peppa Pig has reality-warping powers. Every time she wants puddles, they just exist. Maybe she's a low-key superhero and hasn't realized it yet. Or maybe Grandpa Pig is secretly refilling them. Think about it. He's always suspiciously involved when Peppa and George go puddle jumping. Maybe he sneaks out at night with a watering can and makes sure the puddles are always there. And don't even get me started on how fast the mud disappears once they're done playing. There's no mess, no cleanup, just Peppa and George covered in mud while the puddles mysteriously evaporate. This town is hiding something. I just know it. 5. Animals who have pets. So explain this to me like I'm 5 because something isn't adding up. Peppa, a pig who walks, talks, and has a full social life, owns a pet fish named Goldie. Dr. Hamster, an actual talking hamster with a job, has a pet tortoise named Tiddles. And nobody in this town sees a problem with this? So let me get this straight. Some animals get to wear clothes, go to school, and drive cars, while others are just pets. Who decided this hierarchy? Who set the rules? Was there a meeting? Because if I were a non-talking animal in Peppa's world, I'd have so many complaints. And let's talk about Dr. Hamster, because this woman is literally a hamster who owns another animal. That's like if a human doctor had a pet monkey and just called it normal. And Peppa? She's a pig, looking a fish dead in the eye and saying, "Yes, you are below me in society." The audacity. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if someone owned a pet pig, and if that ever happens, we need to start asking some serious questions about what's really going on in Peppa's world. 6. George can say dinosaur, but not much else? Alright, we need to talk about George's vocabulary situation because something isn't right. This toddler, who struggles to say even the most basic words, can somehow pronounce dinosaur perfectly. Not dog, not mama, not Peppa. Nope, it's dinosaur. Now, I don't know if you've ever been around actual toddlers, but they don't just skip straight to 3-syllable words like it's nothing. They start with simple stuff. Ba, da, no. But George? Nah. My guy went straight for a polysyllabic prehistoric creature like he's a baby genius. You're telling me he can't say food when he's hungry, but he can effortlessly declare dinosaur like a tiny paleontologist? Suspicious. I have theories. George is secretly fluent but chooses chaos. He can talk but enjoys watching his family struggle to understand him. Either that, or he was raised on Jurassic Park documentaries. Maybe Peppa kept playing dinosaur shows around him, and that's all he picked up. Or he's part dinosaur. I mean, considering how weird genetics work in Peppa's world, is it really that impossible? Either way, I refuse to believe that a toddler can flawlessly say dinosaur while struggling with literally everything else. Something's going on, we just haven't cracked the code yet. 7. Susie Sheep disappears for seasons. We need to address Susie Sheep's disappearing act, because one minute she's Peppa's best friend, and the next she's gone without a trace. No explanation, no emotional goodbye, just poof, Susie is off the grid for seasons. And then, out of nowhere, she reappears like she just came back from a long vacation, expecting everyone to act normal. Now, I don't want to start rumors, but there are theories. Witness protection? Maybe she saw something she wasn't supposed to, perhaps something deeply suspicious, like who actually fills those random muddy puddles. The authorities had to relocate her for safety reasons. She got tired of Peppa's attitude. Let's be honest, Peppa can be a lot. Maybe Susie needed a break from all the oinking superiority and dipped for her own mental health. She moved away, but then unmoved. Maybe she left town. But after realizing every other animal civilization is just as weird, she decided to return. Or she was busy filming another show. Let's be real, Miss Rabbit isn't the only one with multiple jobs. Maybe Susie was starring in some other cartoon during her break from Peppa Pig. But the weirdest part? Nobody ever acknowledges it. Not Peppa, not Mummy and Daddy Pig, not even Susie herself. She just waltzes back into the show like she didn't vanish for years. Honestly, if she disappears again, I'm launching a full investigation. Something isn't right. 8. No one ages, except when they do. Let's get something straight. Time in Peppa Pig makes absolutely no sense. Peppa has been 4 years old since the dawn of time. George is still a toddler, yet in some episodes, we see Peppa and her friends sharing what they want to be when they grow up. So, time does pass. Just not for Peppa, which raises the real question. Is Peppa Pig immortal? Think about it. Seasons go by, holidays repeat, Miss Rabbit somehow holds every job in existence, and yet Peppa never ages. Meanwhile, Daddy Pig has embarrassing stories from his younger days, and Granny and Grandpa Pig look way older in certain flashbacks. So clearly, aging is a thing, just not for Peppa and her friends. Maybe Peppa is stuck in a time loop. Maybe she made a deal with some higher power to remain a child forever, jumping in muddy puddles for all eternity. Or she's an experiment. Maybe Peppa's town is some kind of top-secret government test site where aging has been frozen for certain individuals. Or she's actually narrating the entire show from the future. Maybe adult Peppa is somewhere else, telling these stories from a distant past, which is why nothing changes. Either way, the fact that time selectively works in this universe is highly suspicious. If Peppa ever blows out birthday candles and stays 4, I'm calling the authorities. 9. The case of the vanishing carrots. Alright, so in the episode Rebecca Rabbit, Mr. Rabbit casually drops the very surprising fact that rabbits love carrots. Peppa, being the polite piglet she is, has 3 carrots on her plate. Everything seems normal. Then, George picks up 1 carrot, and the other 2 gone. vanished, evaporated into thin air. Now, either Peppa has the fastest hands in the West, or this is some serious animation wizardry gone wrong. Maybe the animators just got lazy, or maybe this town has an actual carrot thief that we've never seen before. Or, hear me out, the Peppa Pig universe has glitches. We already know time doesn't work properly with Peppa being eternally 4, so what if reality itself is unstable? First, it's missing carrots. Next, Daddy Pig's car is hovering off the ground. By season 10, Peppa might be walking through walls. 10. Rebecca Rabbit's house makes no sense. Rebecca Rabbit's family lives underground in a burrow. Now, normally, you'd expect a rabbit's home to be a series of cramped tunnels, right? But nope, they've got huge rooms, a full kitchen, and what appears to be an entire living space. It's like they hit the lottery and upgraded from a humble warren to an underground mansion. Imagine being a rabbit and having a kitchen with all the bells and whistles. Are they whipping up gourmet carrot soufflés down there? Or did the rabbits secretly hire an interior designer to maximize their subterranean real estate? Meanwhile, the rest of us are stuck with modest burrows that barely have room for a warren of carrots. Either the rabbits are living in some next-level high-end underground community, or the animators just decided to ignore basic architectural logic for the sake of cuteness. It's as if Rebecca's family skipped the whole digging for survival phase and went straight to luxury underground living.